I like to start with paying off the highest interest debt first. That way, my clients are paying less money in fees in the form of interest payments.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me.
Cory, I got a special announcement. I got to start it here. It's out. Well, it's not out. I got my author copy here, Retiring Right, Smart Steps for Exiting Corporate America. It is released to the world on May 28th. So if you're watching, listening to Falcon Wealth Advisors podcast Upticks, I would highly encourage you to pick up a copy of Retiring Right on May 28th. It'll be available on Amazon and eventually where all great books are sold, Cory. So I'm really excited. It's basically designed to be a guide. It's not a novel. It's a guide, though, and my whole goal of writing Retiring Right is to open people's eyes to maybe some things they haven't talked or thought about as they approach retirement, or maybe you're already retired, and maybe this will open your eyes to some things that maybe you haven't discovered. So, Cory, I know you're a big contributor to that. I did give you a shout out in the book, Cory. I think you're in there a couple times. Thank you again. Thank you again for helping me develop the content for that. So again, I had to start off with what's new. That's new. May 28th, it'll be coming out. Cory, what about you? What's new with you?
You know, I gave the commencement speech, Jake, at my alma mater on Saturday for the graduating
Bravo,
ceremony.
Cory. Bravo. Well, you did a great job. It's out there on YouTube for everyone. It's Central Missouri State. Is that what it is? Central Missouri State University?
University of Central Missouri now.
University of Central Missouri's YouTube channel. It's what date was it? April...
No, it was May 4th.
May 4th commencement speech. Cory's in there you're in there about halfway through, I think, the YouTube. You can fast forward and see Cory's speech. But yeah, give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great experience. I've told Jake a few people that I asked you actually to challenge me the night before that I did it, where I really kind of ripped up what I was going to say and I started over and put that together really the day before. But it was a great experience. I was humbled to have the opportunity. It was a lot of fun. It was a bit nerve-wracking, as it was really kind of stepping on the stage. It's like, that's what 1,000 people looks like. So, there was that element of it. I was glad I had a podium because I had one leg that like uncontrollably shook for about 10 seconds. Like it just manifested itself that way. But it was a lot of fun, and I was humbled to do it. And they've told me if I want to do it again that I can. So I think I'm gonna take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, you did a great job, Cory.
Thank you.
Again, credit to me, Cory, for challenging you.
Yes.
And you gave me your rundown of your first speech, which was fine, which was completely appropriate. However, you made it personal. You made it authentic. You made it really, hopefully, rung the bell for some people saying, hey, I'm not just walking out of here and never going to think or talk to this university again. I'm going to stay connected. So good job on that, Cory.
Thank you.
All right, good. So before we go into today's topics, first off, I want to thank all of our listeners and subscribers. Our viewership and our subscriber count continues to grow. So thank you so much for tuning into Upticks. Please like and share our content. Give it a thumbs up, a 5-star review. And if you're not already subscribed, we would encourage you to do so you don't miss an episode. But Cory, you've got a couple of topics from some listeners. So I wanted to go over those first before we go into today's article. So first up, Cory, Kansas First-Time Homebuyers Savings Account Act.
Yes. I don't know if you are familiar with this, Jake. This was really posed to me by a CPA that listens to the show, whose son actually, I think, is looking to buy their first home. So this first-time home buyers savings account in the state of Kansas is another type of account that someone can save in to ultimately buy their first home in the state of Kansas, but there's some tax deductions that come with it, state tax deductions for making contributions to this type of account. So I just wanted to ask you, Jake, if given the fact that, someone who's single can contribute $3,000, a married couple can contribute $6,000, and deduct that from their, their contributions from their state tax income. Do you think that's worth it for someone who's looking to buy their first house to save? Would you recommend someone to evaluate that opportunity? I didn't
Yes,
know. I frankly didn't know a ton about this. Go ahead.
yes. And what was the interest they pay?
Don't know about the interest, actually.
Okay, so they can put money in aside an account, and that's, I guess, some sort of forced savings mechanism for them, is what you're suggesting?
Yeah, and they can deduct their contributions to this account from their state income tax. That's the biggest benefit to doing it. And then the money can be used for, a down payment on a home.
Before I answer that, I'm curious, and forgive me, Cory, the sun is rising, so again, if this video is a little shoddy, we're recording this early in the morning, or earlier in the morning than normal. My question to you is, though, why would Kansas do this? Are they trying to encourage people to buy homes?
That would be my takeaway for someone who is just starting to save to buy their first home, because home prices have gotten more expensive. My assumption would be that, this legislation was put in place to help people at least save some money on taxes when they're putting money away to buy their first home.
Yeah, so I don't think it's the worst idea, especially for a first-time home buyer, Cory, because sometimes the delay in buying a home for the first time may be an issue with your discipline and being
Mhm.
able to save money. So if you say, "Hey, I'm going to set up this specific account or whatever, and I'm going to get a tax deduction," I don't think it's a horrible idea. Again, the point of this show is not to give advice. I think it's something that they should talk about with their wealth advisor. However, good for Kansas to provide some incentive from a tax perspective for people doing that. So if there's an opportunity to lower your taxes, Cory, I'm usually all for exploring it.
Yep, absolutely.
That's
That was kind of my
good.
takeaway too.
Yeah, it's good, and I appreciate the CPA who brought this to your attention. So I haven't. That's not as widely known out there. So I'm glad that they threw that out there for us. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, one more, Cory. This is a reply from last week's call to action from listening. Basically, it talked about market fear and euphoria. So what do you got here? You got a lot here in these notes, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
there's a lot here, but basically we asked the question of, like, people understand what to expect as far as what the market's going to do, as far as peaks and valleys, ups and downs go, but there's still just the fact that people are impacted. Really, their mental health was where this came from originally, Jake, the article we talked about last week. I thought this was great, though, the reply from someone from the audience that said, besides the base instinct of fight or flight and greed that is built into DNA, he was saying that he has a theory that what happens during an impending snowstorm or an extra windy day, the 24-hour news cycle that needs eyeballs to garner advertising, creates a narrative to keep the viewer engaged to the point of fear, causing panic at grocery stores, etc. It is about safety, but also viewership for advertising dollars. So when there's a big event, that ultimately that narrative can be milked. And the same thing is true for the market. A sell-off feeds on itself. As everyone listens to the talking heads beat it down, they are rarely saying buy, buy, buy as we go down as the market declines, and rarely saying sell, sell, sell when the market gets, quote, frothy, or whatever the next word of the day is. When the market is just choppy, it does nothing every day, even if it's going up, people get bored and go outside into the sunshine. So the point here was that trading is a zero-sum game. Everybody buys and everybody sells, and you theoretically have a 50% chance of making or losing money if you're trading. But when there's not an investment with a plan, then it's not that far off from being gambling or being a really bad meteorologist, was his point. The news of the market, as well as a lack of understanding and preparation for changes in the market weather, creates a bad mindset. People are more sad when there's no sun, but when the sun's out, guns out, do they go out and buy an umbrella or a coat? His point was weather and investing have a lot of similarities. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That was extremely. I'm glad you read that and quoted it. That was extremely well said, Cory. You got a pretty cool client there, or listener, whoever
That's right.
that was that sent that to you. So thank you again for that person saying that. I can't agree with this more, right? I mean, I actually have used a very similar analogy in the past where,
Yep.
The Weather Channel, I never watch the Weather Channel, Cory. I never watch the Weather Channel unless
there's
some crazy storms going on, right? And so obviously all of these other major news outlets have figured that out, that the stock market is something that goes up and down often. And so they can use that to their advantage to get more eyeballs on their platform. And that's exactly what happens. And it's sad. And especially now with social media, I mean, we've got so much, Cory, in our freaking pocket here in our phones that, this thing, if you have your alerts on, could be pinging at you all day. And that's all about, it's all about driving revenue and ad dollars, not really necessarily to help you. So So to tune down that noise, a quick tip is to, zoom out a little bit. Let's pull out some perspective. And if you're really that worried, you should set an appointment with your financial advisor or your wealth advisor and go over your financial plan, go over your investments, right? Look at those things. Don't look at the media for financial advice. It's entertainment. That's it. It's entertainment. That's all it should be for.
That's exactly right.
And if they're reporting the facts that the Dow is up 300 points or down 300 points, that's fine to take it as that. However, that doesn't mean your financial plan needs to be thrown out the window because of that.
Exactly. Yes.
So good. Good. Thank you. That was a good one. All right, Cory, let's kick it off here.
Play ball. All right, Jake, the best password managers for keeping your digital world safe.
Now, I think, Cory, we might have talked about this one before, actually.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that. However, this is my thought on this. So again, what I'm talking about are password manager apps, whether you have an iPhone or an Android or whatever. But this article talked about, and again, I don't want to endorse them because I don't really know about these apps that well. But my opinion, Cory, I think password managers are the new safes, right? The safes. And I have a question for you, Cory. Two questions. One, do you have a safe at home?
I do.
And where is it? I'm just kidding. Don't tell me where it is. So you have a safe at home. You have a safe I don't want millions of people to know where your safe is. So you have a safe. Do you also use a password manager?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Just curious. And I need to get it. Rachel and I have been talking about this. I don't have a safe. I need to get a safe. And I don't use a password manager yet, but I'm open to it. And again, we don't want to recommend one for compliance reasons because I don't want to recommend a password manager and then it gets hacked and clients or people watching this are saying, what's wrong with you? But I think people should do their own homework. My big question though to you, Cory, is, okay, you use a safe at home, but you don't use a password manager. What if your password manager gets hacked and you have all your passwords in there?
It's a real concern. I personally do keep certain passwords saved, but I've thought like on the computer, but I've thought exactly about this before, that if somebody gains access to my computer and someone knows what my password is, they're ultimately going to have access to the passwords that are stored there securely. So it's something to be careful with.
However, though, good. Is that fear, though, the same as people burying money all over their backyard instead of putting it in a safe? Like, you use a safe, you're not worried about somebody cracking your safe, right?
Maybe it is. I think that on the iPhone, the iCloud, like the keychain for password saving, and if Google Chrome or whatever people might use, like I definitely have that information stored in a few specific secured places, but I don't have a specific password manager to oversee all of it. But I do have a safe, but I also don't have money buried all over the backyard. So,
well, and not all your money is in the safe.
It's not.
Right?
Correct.
Not nearly that much, because you've got investment accounts and retirement accounts and a bank, So I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting, but I think it's a good analogy, just understanding that you're right. Maybe you use multiple password managers. Which I know is not the design if you're trying to
manage the managers.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. And a lot of them aren't free. So you want to be aware, but I'm okay with that. Like, again, if you're really worried, and everyone should be a little, not worried, but they should do their due diligence on their cybersecurity.
Yes.
It's okay if you have to pay for security for a password manager. I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se. I think you need to do your homework though, and you need to make sure that, hey, what happens if this thing gets hacked? How exposed am I? Because again, you don't have all of your net worth in a safe.
No, not even close.
Right. Okay, good. I just wanted to bring it up. I thought it was good food for thought for today's episode. All right, Cory, here we go. Advice from your brother-in-law. Uh-oh.
So we've got a nice visual here that we can pull up on the screen. This, Jake, has come from our friend Carl Richards, who we've talked about on this show. This was a brief blog post from LinkedIn. But the visual here is looking at, it's basically a bar chart. Increasing the amount you save has a much larger impact in this visual than looking for the, quote, best investment. And then this is also stating that advice from your brother-in-law is actually a bar chart going negative or in the wrong direction. And I'm just going to read this real quick here because this post was short. And what it said was, it can be fun and exciting talking about investing with your really smart brother-in-law. But the truth is, investing done right is boring. Do you know what will really have an impact on your financial situation? And that's saving more money. All the other stuff is a distraction, a place to hide from doing the really hard work of figuring out how to save a little more money. Isn't that the truth, Jake?
Yeah, Carl's got a lot of truths out there, and I appreciate that. You're right. Let's not look for the next hot stock. Let's not look to get rich overnight. The simple thing is, you're right. Compound interest, Cory, and saving more and spending less. It's that simple. It's boring, but our clients, Cory, that have had the best or the healthiest financial plans, I feel like they have been able to do that over many years. And you look at Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett, arguably one of the wealthiest guys in the world, one of the most successful investors. It's just, Cory, because he's been disciplined for many, many, many years. He didn't get rich overnight. The guy's pretty old, and he used compounding. He made smart investments over many years, and he let
Like 6 or
compounding.
7 decades.
Right,
But yes.
right.
But
And
the point
again,
there holds true.
compounding works. And again, save more, spend less, let your money work for you. Save, put more money in those investments accounts. I love it. Good
Yeah,
one.
I've thought a lot about this, Jake. I mean, how often do you meet with a client or a prospective new client that made all of their money because they made one great investment that made them a bunch of money overnight? Very few, right? The vast
Yeah.
majority of the clients that we meet with have worked and saved with discipline for decades.
And this is why you hear about these people that win the lottery going broke, professional athletes going broke, because they make the money too quickly and too easily, that they also don't value it. And they've got a whole big issue with the psychology of money after that. So I would almost argue, now again, if you win $100 million in the lottery, Cory, good for you, right? And you'd probably be fine because you're a wealth advisor. However, that can sometimes really cause a lot of damage to people because, again, they don't know how to handle it or manage it because they didn't. They don't have good habits in place where they saved and built that money up. That's good.
Yep.
All right, good.
All right,
Let's go on to
Jake.
the next one here.
Yeah, retire at 65. It's more like 62.
Yeah, this was an interesting article, Cory, that said that some people, or a lot of people, I guess, maybe plan on retiring at age 65, but then they reverse course and they realize that they need to retire earlier or want to retire earlier. Something in their life changes, whether it's, hopefully not, but whether it's health related, maybe they get fired, maybe they're just not enjoying their work as much. Maybe they go through a great divorce and it's time they want to retire. That's when people are retiring older in life, or getting divorced older in life. But my question is, do you have many clients that have retired sooner than expected, and how's it gone for them?
Yes, I have clients that have retired sooner than they expected. For a lot of them, it's gone well because my experience has been that if they didn't have a plan previously, they didn't know whether or not they were in the position to be able to retire. And I found that some clients sometimes are in a better situation to retire than they might realize if they haven't taken the time to do the planning. But I also think one thing that's interesting about this, and maybe you see the same thing, Jake, the younger clients are, the longer they plan on working. But the closer that people get to age 50, 55, 60, all of a sudden the idea of working until 65 or 70 does not seem quite as appealing to them.
Really? Yeah, because I don't have that many younger clients, Cory, but a lot of them want to retire early, believe it or not.
Right.
55.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But I see it both ways. You're right. It's unique to the person and the plan. I think the takeaway, though, I wanted to really drive home here is it's most important to have a plan, because
yes,
it's okay. It's okay if you're 55 years old and you're watching this or listening to this and you want to retire at 65. It's okay for us to run a scenario where you're retiring at 60. It's okay, even though you might not want to do. I have a lot of clients where I've done that, Cory, where I'll show them, and I'm not trying to talk them into it. I'm the last person that wants to talk somebody into retiring earlier or later. That's a very personal decision. I'll help you with the financial aspects of it and making sense of that. But many times, Cory, we will show people retiring earlier just so they know, hey, if I get tapped on the shoulder, if something happens and I need to quit or I get laid off or whatever, then I can. And that's, I think, very comforting for people. And that's okay to run a plan that way. It's okay to have it in there.
And I think the other side to that too, Jake, is that if someone's in the situation where they can retire at 60 if they want to, if they know that they have the financial capacity to do that, it changes the whole dynamic towards their work also, where people are working. If they're choosing to work beyond that, it's because they want to, because it's going to help their long-term plan, not because they have to. It just changes the dynamic.
Right. All right, good. Let's go on to the next one here, Cory. 6 steps to tune up your retirement finances. Now, what I'd love to do here, Cory, is I want to stop at each step and have a little mini discussion on each one instead of you rattling them off. So here we go.
All right, let's do it. So this was from AARP, Jake, and I thought that this was good though. Nice kind of a nice tune-up. really is what they called it, 6 steps to tune up your retirement finances. And the point here was that, like having a mechanic give your car a periodic once-over, reviewing your spending and saving with regularity can keep your financial motor running smoothly, Jake. So the first point here, the first step was to update your budget. And it's more than simply tracking what you spend.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, it's tracking what you spend. It's also forecasting future expenditures and making sure that your money is aligned with what you value. I think not just having a ledger or whatever saying, oh, I charged $8,000 on my credit card this month, I'm going to pay it off. It's like, no. Where is that money going? Is it going to jelly beans?
Right.
Are you wasting money on subscriptions? Maybe it's time to buy a password manager instead of buying jelly beans. Is that what you're thinking on that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think also, though, if you could think if this was a once per year exercise for people, it would help them understand how that changes from year to year also when they're thinking about planning for their retirement.
Really good. Really good. All right, good. What's number 2?
Number 2 was declutter financial records.
Yeah. So you got all those dusty tax documents, right, in a box. Maybe your financial plan is a mess. Maybe you met with your advisor. I met with somebody the other day, Cory.
Mm-hmm.
They said, and this was a prominent firm, believe it or not, that they created a plan for them. And I don't know, they didn't say specifically, but I got the impression that they created a plan maybe 2 or 3 years ago and haven't really talked about it since.
Yeah.
So that's just, and I was like, that's ridiculous. You need to be updating your plan at least once a year, if not more than 2 or 3 times a year, depending on what's going on in your life. Is that what the article meant?
Yeah, and it's less useful, right? Your financial plan is if you're not keeping it updated. But they talked about, yes, like the tax records, statements, et cetera, getting things saved electronically, getting rid of and shredding anything that might have personal information on it that you just don't need anymore.
Right. Good. What's third?
Consolidate financial accounts.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, how many times have you got a new client and they've got 10 different bank accounts, or they've got an old 401k, a Roth over here, something they inherited, whatever. Yeah, let's get all that money working together for you. It simplifies things for you. And especially with certain firms, especially Falcon Wealth Advisors, there's certain breakpoints you can hit. So you can actually potentially lower your overall fee by consolidating your assets and getting your money working towards you. Cory, we got to wrap up today's episode. So let's go quickly over here. The next 3.
Check credit reports.
Yeah. What's that one? What's that one mean?
Make sure that you understand where your credit score is at and how it's being impacted. Next is prioritize.
No, real quick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And luckily most of our clients don't need to borrow a lot of money, but it's still good to have a high credit score just in case you get in a situation where you need to borrow money. Okay, good. Number 5.
Prioritize debt to pay off.
Yeah, 2 schools of thought on debt, Cory. There's and I'll get these wrong, the snowball and the avalanche.
I think that's right. I think you got it.
Whatever. And again, this is not advice. I like to start with paying off the highest interest debt first. That way my clients are paying less money in fees in the form of interest payments. One strategy, though, is paying off the smallest debt first to give yourself some momentum. I don't know which one's avalanche or snowball. It doesn't really matter to me. My point is both of those are appropriate. I think mathematically it makes sense to pay the high interest off first. However, if you're feeling overwhelmed, and let's say you've got 10 credit cards and you feel like you can't catch up, then maybe it makes sense to start with the lowest one and start nicking away at those. So again, as long as you're paying off your debt, I really is what the takeaway with that is.
Exactly. And know what to pay off first. And then lastly is to reevaluate your investments.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We check this very often for our clients. We're rebalancing, making sure that those investments are aligned with our client's financial plan. It's a very important piece of what we do.
And I think, Jake, the last point I want to make real quickly here, in regards to these 6 items, we've talked on the show before about articles where couples have like a money date, right? Where they'll talk about their finances. We've talked about taking, a financial health day where somebody takes a day off of work to get their finances in order. Right. I think that at a really high level, these 6 steps, if people were following these once per year, would really keep things moving in the right direction for them financially.
Yeah, I love it. Perfect. And that's a great way to end today's episode, Cory. Thank you for including this article, and thank you all for tuning in. We hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.